All right, YouTube, it's time to talk about three things I just don't get about Hillary Clinton fans. I just don't understand certain things about her support base. My first question is, where are all of you people? I have yet to see I'm in the bluest part of the country. This is literally the bluest state. It's more blue than New York. It's more blue than California. It is the premier Democratic stronghold. Democratic candidates don't even campaign here. There are no urban areas, and they don't have to worry about losing. Rutland County, where I live, is sort of like the swing state part of the actual state. The Northeast Kingdom is kind of Republican. The rest is all solid blue. It's literally nothing but a bunch of hippies. So my question is, why haven't I haven't seen a single bumper sticker for Hillary. I haven't seen a single lawn sign for Hillary. I've never heard her mentioned in passing. Back when it was Obama running, I can remember there was Obama everywhere. You know, you see a few Republican signs, or like Libertarian Party. Mostly it was all Democrats, and it was all Obama. Everyone solidified around him, and it was like all encompassing. I remember UVM at the time actually had like a welcome for Chelsea Clinton. They had a bunch of Hillary signs out there. They were quickly taken down as soon as she was gone. There were a bunch of Obama signs instead. And so I just don't understand. Where are all of you people? I've never met a Hillary Clinton supporter. How is it that supposedly this candidate is at least a few points ahead of her challenger and has, maybe 43, 44% of the population rooting for her, and yet there's no presence at all in the real world in what should be a Democratic stronghold where, again, her presence should be all-encompassing? I just don't understand it. Also, how do Hillary Clinton supporters openly celebrate? This is the case whether it's like a Democratic page, like Being Liberal or Salon or something like that, or whether it's some, shill for Hill, random person online, because I've never seen anyone in the real world that supports Hillary, so I'm just going by the internet. You go to Being Liberal or Salon, or you talk to some of these people, they're kind of like, yeah, I'll shill for Hill, I'm with her or whatever. First female president, as though that makes any fucking difference. And they openly celebrate the fact that people who are like long-term corporate members of the Republican Party have endorsed their candidate. Now, doesn't this seem a little bit odd? Because every other time you're asked about what you think about these individuals, the Republican donors, Republican establishment, the GOP insiders, people part of the party, with Paul Ryan or something like that, or Boehner, or McConnell, or anyone associated with that general sort of centrist Republican sentiment. Any other time you're asked about them, you say, oh, well, they're the devil incarnate. They're pure evil. They want to sell out all American workers. They want no environmental restrictions. They want basically just Christian moralist anarchy. They want there'll be no taxes at all. Everyone will just run around with tanks and machine guns, and it'll be this horrible dystopian future, and there'll be pictures of gun-toting Republican Jesus everywhere. They want to kill women, for having a miscarriage. They hate gays, and they want to string them up, and they're the party of the Klan and stuff. These are the sort of people that are endorsing your candidate. How can you say that that is a good thing? How can you celebrate this fact? I would think that the fact that Trump turns off such individuals and they go over and they start gravitating towards your opponent should be a pretty good indicator. Either your candidate is shit because, by proxy, all the people endorsing her are apparently shit in your minds, or that Trump's actually the good guy because he's managing to piss people off that for decades and decades you've done nothing but rant about how bad they are. It's like the Bushes. The Bushes say, no, we're not going to back Trump. Maybe we'll vote for Hillary or something. And it's celebrated by Being Liberal. I don't understand this because a few cycles ago, indeed in this cycle before Trump got in with Jeb, the Bush family, they're morons, they're cretins, they drool everywhere, they're a bunch of warmongers, all they want is misery, they want racial holy war, Rahowa now, fucking everything wrong with the world. They're the literal incarnation of the far-right devil. And they're supporting your candidate, or more or less, or refusing at least to support her opposition. And you find this to be a good thing. And there are people that are memorable for having completely trashed the Bushes, as I did towards the end of his second term, all of a sudden congratulating the Bushes, saying, oh, well, this is common sense. Oh, good on the Bushes. Oh, he's so much better than Trump. I just don't get this. How can you enjoy the fact that your supposedly liberal candidate is being endorsed by people who you thought were anything but even a year ago. I just don't get that. And number 3, how do you feel about the fact that the Democratic candidate was in favor of the war in Iraq, glowing praise for it, didn't just vote for it, didn't just say, well, yeah, I'll vote for the invasion because Saddam's evil, had something to do with 9/11, which was never true, but actually glowingly praised it and talked about how we would be welcomed as liberators, sort of a Netanyahu sort of thing. How do you feel about the fact that when she was a senator, when she was asked about gay marriage, oh, no, marriage is between a man and a woman, we'll have to shelf that. Civil unions, yeah, maybe, but no, they shouldn't call it marriage because it's not marriage. How do you feel about these things? How is she like a progressive in the sense of, latter second term Obama? Even Obama was against gay marriage. But at the very least, when he became president, he didn't rant about it constantly. Hillary was already a senator at the time, fairly recently compared to back when Obama was sort of senator from Chicago. And she's talking about how it's not traditional, it doesn't bode well for my Christian beliefs. Now, Obama said that 2 years earlier. He very quickly changed his tune, and at the very least, he said, yeah, civil unions are fine with me. I don't care. I don't even remember Hillary mentioning civil unions. Maybe she was okay with it, but she didn't really prop it up when she was running for the Senate in New York. Now, keep in mind, New York, again, solid blue state. It's not exactly like she had a great deal of competition there, and she got booed by a bunch of young people in the crowd because they were already on board with it. She was just doing it for votes. How do you feel about the fact that she's the first presidential candidate who's actively under investigation by the FBI? Now, this is the same Clinton that says, if you're under criminal investigation, you shouldn't be able to get a gun. I would posit if you're under a criminal investigation, you shouldn't be able to run for office. I would think that would be a no-brainer. How did it get to the point where people who are supposedly, they're far left or progressive, or they give themselves some sort of label, they're like the latent Bernie Sanders fans, Elizabeth Warren fans, maybe they're like the Pelosi side of the Democratic Party, maybe they're Obamaniacs or something like that. How did they get to the point at which they're willing to shill for Hill and settle for Hillary? How can they bring themselves to do that? I would think that at that point, you would begin looking to other party options. There's a viable libertarian party right now that, at least on social issues, is way to the left of Hillary Clinton. Gary Johnson is far, far left on social issues compared to Hillary. And probably when it comes to foreign affairs such as war. The fact that he happens not to have a problem with guns, I think wouldn't bother the far left since they embraced Sanders. And he didn't seem nearly as anti-gun as Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's like, oh yeah, we're going to ban this, ban that. This law will be passed. Oh, we're going to crack down on this bullshit. And it's like a single issue party. The Democratic Party, the Daily Beast earlier was saying, oh, it's time to force the working class whites out of the Democratic Party because we can't represent them anymore and represent progressive tolerance and minority values and stuff like that. Is this the face of the Democratic Party of the future? A party where, yeah, ethnic minorities and people who pretend to be progressive, while simultaneously a decade ago they weren't on board with any progressive issues at all. That'll be the face of the Democratic Party. I'm sure that that's a winning strategy for the future. See, this is what I don't understand. I don't understand how people can think she's anything other than a partisan corporate Democrat who's largely in it to make money and gain fame for herself, because that's literally all she cares about. And by the way, how is it like revolutionary? Okay, she has boobs and a vagina. Okay, I understand that. She's positing like a 0.5% tax hike. How is that some revolutionary proposal that's going to pay for a bunch of new progressive programs and all these great things? How is that going to work? How is that that's barely different from the Republican platform of somebody like Romney or Bush. They're talking about, oh, 0.5% less taxes. She's talking about 0.5% more. She's talking about simply not going after people's equal rights any more than they've already been gone after, but she's not even proclaiming any real revolutionary reforms in the social sort of stratosphere. Just like the Republicans, they're not really generally talking about that much in the way of lowering taxes or that many reforms of what the government does with your wallet. Most of them are talking about basically keeping the status quo. It's gotten to the point where I can understand why the Bushes and the Clintons would kind of be drawing together, because they're the same thing. They have the same ideology. They've got the same fiscal policy. They've had the same views for years. It's just that lately Clinton has pretended that she somehow went further left in order to gain more votes within the Democratic Party so she could stave off a socialist from preventing her, cock-blocking her from getting the nomination. Where are Hillary's fans, and what do they think about these things, and how can they celebrate the fact that supposedly somebody that even like the Bushes, they'd say, oh, she's fucking liberal, commie, pinko traitor, horrible person, wants to raise your taxes to the roof, take your guns away. Supposedly she's so far right, and yet a bunch of establishment Republicans are endorsing her. I would think that would speak better of Trump or third-party groups as opposed to Clinton. I would think that'd depress her support. And what Bernie Sanders fans have said all along is fundamentally correct. She's really just a Republican with a D after her name. An establishment Republican, a neocon, a Mitt Romney, a George W., something like that. She's pro-war. She doesn't really care about progressive issues. She doesn't care about, gay people have, the right to marry. What did she do to help them? She tried to hold him back in New York, then she just shut up about it. At least Obama didn't defend DOMA. That's his great contribution to the cause of equal rights. Think about it. These people that take credit, they say, oh, everything will be gay, rainbows everywhere, everything's hunky-dory, we're going to be the party of gay rights of the future. They won't even talk about the fact that religious fanatics are shooting at gay people on a regular basis all over the world. They have abandoned all common sense. They've abandoned the white working class. They've abandoned the entire gay community. They've abandoned women's rights, more or less. They won't even call out all the zealots around the world who are endangering that. They'd rather fixate upon some state that wants an abortion waiting period instead of people who bash women's skulls in for getting raped or something like that. I mean, it's fantastically strange to me that people don't see this as a little bit of an issue. But even more strange, and this is the final thing I'll say, how can you excuse the fact that your candidate, Hillary Rodham Clinton, supposedly she's running against the Antichrist himself, and by all accounts, in the most optimistic polling, she's ahead by single digits. In the most optimistic scenario, she's a little bit ahead of Trump. Now, supposedly Trump, again, he's the devil. He wants to start a third world war. He's a horrible, bigoted, xenophobic, sexist pile of orange-skinned crap, and yet she's a few points ahead of him. In the average now, it's below 5 points and falling every day. He's actually rising right now. She's stalled out and falling. And again, supposedly it should be so easy. She should be riding on like 80-90% if she's got all these great qualifications. Most qualified candidate in history. Qualified by what? A failed two-term senator who stood in the way of gay marriage and voted for the Iraq War. Okay, well, that's going out. A Secretary of State that had to get sacked by Obama in favor of John Kerry, of all people. A first lady whose tenure while there, under the auspices of Bubba Bill, was tainted by scandal after scandal. I'm not talking about Monica Lewinsky. Everyone knows Bill's a womanizer. Okay, I can deal with that. I don't care. What about Vince Foster? What about cattle futures? What about Filegate and Travelgate and all? What about her saying, oh yeah, we were under sniper fire when we landed in Bosnia? That never happened. A few news reporters have been sacked and had their careers completely destroyed for making such a phony, made-up story about, something involving a war zone. I think we can think of a few people fairly recently who suffered that, but because it's Hillary, all of a sudden it doesn't matter that she lied through her teeth and pretended, oh, yeah, I just forgot. Oh, the details were murky in my mind. How do you forget that sort of thing? It just doesn't make any sense. I've never in the real world even met a Hillary Clinton fan. So where are you embarrassed to say, yeah, you're a shill for Hill? I think a lot of people are. I think sometimes people anonymously online will say, yeah, I support Hillary because Trump is bad, or, I'm not on board with third party. I think it's a waste of a vote or something. Okay, well then admit it in real life so that you can be criticized for your stupid choices maybe. Because I see plenty of people that they visibly support Trump. I see a hell of a lot of people compared to prior elections. I've seen a lot of libertarian stuff around, but nothing for Hillary. Absolutely nothing. I can't remember a single bumper sticker, a single lawn sign, a single mention of her name in any light other than scandal. So I don't understand what her fans are thinking. That's about all. Peace out.